If you are tired of constantly saying yes when you rather say no, and you're done bending over backwards to please others, even at your own expense, then you are in the right place. I've been there, and today I am sharing how I found freedom from people pleasing. For years, I thought it was my responsibility to keep everyone happy and to make sure that everyone's needs were met. And when something went wrong, I often took it personally, believing that it was my job to fix it. But this craving for approval really made me neglect my own happiness, and oftentimes it left me exhausted, anxious, resentful even, and really disconnected from myself. Things started to shift when I really started valuing myself as much as I valued others. I started to say no, kindly but authentically, and it really transformed my relationships and my sense of self. I spent several years as a branch manager at a bank, a role that really didn't align with my personality. Actually, not at all. Delegating tasks really felt uncomfortable, and I never wanted to burden someone else with extra work. So oftentimes, I did all the extra work myself just, to avoid conflict. My coworkers know me as, oh, Sylvie, she is so nice. If someone called out sick, for instance, and someone needed to skip their lunch to make sure everyone else still could go on a busy day, Sylvie doesn't mind. She always eats at her desk anyway. And when we had a last minute customer at the end of the day, just while we were closing the doors, Sylvie doesn't mind to stay late because she always does. She doesn't mind. Even though I had to run to catch the bus to pick up my daughter from daycare before they closed, and others, they went home or to the gym or to the mall, I still found it so incredibly difficult to stand up for myself and just say no. It really felt like a constant internal struggle for me, even though saying no seemed so effortless for everyone else. Eventually, though, I did realize that I had the power to change this dynamic by setting clear boundaries. Now, as a single mom, holidays presented a similar challenge for me. My daughter and I, we were often invited to friends' homes, and although I was very thankful and so appreciative. Sometimes we just wanted to stay home and be cozy. Since I was always working overtime and, my daughter spent her days at daycare or later and after school, we just really cherished those rare moments where we just could relax together. Sometimes it was just nice to simply hang out at home, curled up on the couch, watching movies, surrounded by lots of snacks. But I started to get anxious whenever holidays or special events approached, and honestly, it began to upset me a bit because it took a lot of courage for me to finally start saying no, but even then, my answer wasn't respected or accepted without an explanation. And even then, it would often be like, well, you should still come after you're done with the other thing. And I felt so much pressure, but I was often too shy to simply say I just wanted to stay home. So I would end up making excuses, which didn't feel right either. I hated feeling like I had to lie just to make others comfortable. Because why did I have to give a reason at all? Why wasn't a simple no thank you enough? It really made me realize how often I was expected to justify myself to just to keep others happy. And I think that was not okay because I didn't expect the same from others. But one moment that really opened my eyes was my 40th birthday. It was a major milestone for me, not just because, turning 40 felt really significant, but also because I had recently, gone through some really tough times. I had faced health challenges and I had no family nearby, and I considered these friends my family. And after years of accepting invitations out of obligation or guilt, I decided to host something myself, my own birthday event, where I reserved a space for the event 4 months in advance. And I invited about 30 people, but only 4 showed up. Everyone else had an excuse. And so it was really painful to realize how easily people could pull up an extra chair for me at their table when it really required minimal effort. Yet when it came to going out of their way for me, as I had so often done for them, even sitting awkwardly with unfamiliar relatives of theirs, as I had no family there by myself, the effort just wasn't there. That day was a huge wake-up call, and I finally understood who valued me. That was a tough lesson, but a necessary one. I was always so worried about others' feelings, yet here I was left completely hurt and embarrassed on top of it. I'll admit though that old habits still pop up now and then, but these days I handle it differently. Instead of immediately saying yes, I do pause and I take a breath before responding, and I check in with myself first. And if I say no and someone gets upset or takes it personally, then I gently remind myself then that is their issue and not mine, as long as I'm kind and honest about my boundaries. Learning to honor myself and set clear boundaries really has made such a big difference because I feel less resentment and exhaustion, and the relationships that I have now feel so much more real and balanced. And honestly, this process really showed me who my true friends are. The ones who accept and respect my boundaries without expecting me to always say yes. It feels incredibly freeing, but I'll be real with you. I'm still a work in progress. So saying no isn't selfish. It really is an essential part of self-care and respect. Now, if you are ready to embrace your perfectly imperfect life, then, please subscribe. Remember that you're worthy exactly as you are.